And we are live. Jesus, this is technically not my first live stream, but the first one I was checking something and just seeing. Remember the drink y'all's water. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. This is actually from another podcast type of thing. But it is you could tell a lot for people who don't drink water. It is the biggest, I cannot stress this enough, the biggest red flag in the world to me is when someone tells me they don't drink something that 70% of your water or 70% of your body is composed of. Like someone saying they don't drink water is as put it like this. I'm gonna put it like this. I would trust someone who drinks blood than someone who doesn't drink water. Because at least with the blood, you can justify to me your nonsense. If you don't drink water, then you don't believe in, Noah's Ark. What is Noah's Ark? Don't ask me. I just mentioned shit. I'm ignorant and have no clue what the fuck I'm talking about. Speaking of not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about, so earlier I was actually chilling with my boy Jeffrey. Shout out to Jeffrey. Big old Jeff. And he was we had like a 3-hour conversation. We at least have it once every week and a half to 2 weeks. We never set appointments. We just kind of sense when we're there. He walks in, his gym bag, big boy muscles. It's like Cali muscle, except I call him Georgia muscle. Have I ever told him Georgia muscle in person? No, but so we had this 3-hour conversation, a combination that consists of we're very it's a very toxic, like quote unquote toxic. A lot of people call it toxic conversation and shit. Because we literally talk about the state of men, to an extent women. Typically women will come into the conversation. But it's not really just sitting there talking about women all day. But it's talking about the landscape of the reality of how a lot of people don't realize how good, they have it in a lot of ways. Like a lot of people don't realize that a lot of problems we create for ourselves are self-inflicted. Like a lot of our problems in our life can be solved with just one common sense, one accountability, and get more money and bitches. Your life is solved. I'm kidding on the last part, partly. He would say that. I'm not going to say that, but it's out there for a reason. I just throw it around like in between outs in a baseball game. Short first, second, home plate. But we were talking about how that what's frustrating for him to see the most is people who you can give them all the advice that they asked you for. You can do everything you can to help someone and to set them at least in a direction to when they're struggling through things. But there's a lot of people in the world that would rather be right than get it right. There's a lot of people that they feel like they're too good to learn. They are too good to listen, and they're too good for criticism. I think that the main thing we kind of got at is why are people why do we as people feel like we are too good for criticism? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Criticism is such a thing. Sometimes when you always talk about like positive and negative energy, which is such a vague thing, and I think a lot of people use things like positive vibes, negative vibes, energy, because it's one of those things you can't really counteract them. You can't really sit there and try to point like what they feel, because what someone feels is what they feel. And when you use general terms that are very vague, they also have very open interpretation, meaning what's positive to me can be negative to someone else and vice versa. You can be in the same room, you can see the same thing, and one person can think, "Oh my god, the room, it is so vibrant now." And the other person be like, "I can't be around this. It just makes me feel sick." And when people use generic terms such as that, it can bring a really when people use generic terms such as energy and vibes, it's really an excuse to not really have a definitive reason why you feel something. And it's kind of like a cop out. Like if you break up with someone and just say, I wasn't feeling the energy. It's like, is it the energy, or were they just kind of annoying and you just wanted to use something not hurt their feelings? And when people use these generic, vague, open interpretation, these very isolated meaning type of things, it really dumbs down conversations when they can have very complexity and very open discussions about certain things. But it's always just about you want to simplify what's right or wrong about something. And when you just simplify something of what's right or wrong, it doesn't really you don't really dig deep into whatever the issue is. And like shit, I'm drawing blanks here, shooting blanks. Western, boom. Um, when you gotta be careful, because if you go on social media and shit, you'll see it's all about positivity and negativity. But really, the irony is when you try to just be one thing, either extreme. If you try to be overly positive or overly negative, and you try to live in this utopian world on both sides or on either side, you're actually doing more harm than good to you and other people, because there is a sense of reality. Not everything in life is positive. Now, you can take a negative and turn it into a positive, but blah, blah, blah. There's not a problem with that. But when you just, I'm going to make everything this extreme positive and be over positive and justify my positivity, even when reality says you were doing things that hurt other people. Sometimes positivity, ironically, can turn into selfishness, in my opinion. This is all my opinion because there's no factual evidence or actual evidence that would justify all this. Over positivity and over negativity is never a good thing. I never believe anything that's extreme on either side is a good thing. On anything, any extremism is never a good thing. You want to talk about left or right politics? I don't give a fuck. It's all nonsense. It really is. Politics are really just man-made things because people don't know how to act right in real life. So we have to create this system and create politicians and make millions and thousands and hundreds of thousands to create systems and create things to even make things more confusing or worse, to make people in these positions feel more powerful when they're really just as smart as you or me The only difference is they have a position to make decisions that most of them are not really even qualified to make. And the only thing that makes them qualified to make it is the fact that they have gotten those positions by very, very open interpretation thing. There's not really a degree that says politics. Now, as far as I'm aware, I mean, there's versions and variations. You got to know history, you got to know laws and all that shit. But it's not like you go to George Washington University, you pass, you graduate, and you graduate in some mayor, like take some mayor course where you learn how to be a mayor, you learn how to be a senator, you learn how to be a House of Representatives. It's not really that. I would assume to get in these positions, it really hides behind campaigns, funding. So you kind of got to have a little money to go in here. There's nothing really wrong with that. If you raise the money yourself to raise funds and advertisement stuff to get your name out there, start at smaller levels, work your way up. Fine. Typically, I guess you start in government, but you don't graduate in government. The only thing I could think of is you can graduate in like political science, which isn't strictly politics. It's kind of like this. You could graduate in philosophy. You graduate in, I would say, attorney. Being a lawyer is probably the most common route because you could become like a lawyer pro bono and shit like that, and then start working, in different things, get your way in and shit like that. But shit, I forgot what I was talking about. Went on a little cuckoo. Oh, but it's this weird. It's this weird justification to ourselves that being. Oh yeah, I was talking about extremism. Yeah, extremism in history has never proved to be well in any facet of life. Think about any time in your life where your whole life became about one thing, like your entire life. The good thing about that, your entire life becomes about one thing. So that means you are solely focused on it. You become solely focused on whatever your goal is and all that, right? That means you are going to feel as much of a high as a positive. The failure is going to be just as low because it's not just the thing you failed, but everything you've dedicated towards that has failed. And it's this thing where I feel like when people are going through tough times in life, they feel like they gotta. And I'll just speak for me. Like when people, like for example, I've noticed patterns of behavior in times in my life when I have tried to fix something. Like let's say you're trying to lose weight. The natural instinct is when you're trying to get in the mode, when you're trying to get back on track. You're like, you know what I'm gonna start doing? I'm gonna start eating 4 meals a day, nothing but chicken and rice. Go hard, go to the gym twice a day, 6 days a week. And you do it and you realize, when you haven't worked out for 4 months, your body's not really ready for that. So you burn yourself out. No pun intended. You burn yourself out mentally and physically. Even if you could push through it, you're just mentally, it's just like, You take one day off and it's like, man, like I'm letting up. And then you don't have the habits to get back in the regular, routine and all that, right? And what makes that, and when the reality is when you're easing back into something, it's a gradual, you you eat a couple good meals and then maybe, have a little snack here or there. You ease your way. You work out 3 times a week, 3 good workouts. You may do an extra cardio day, but you ease your body back in so your body doesn't break down when it's not ready. And I feel like people try to fix extreme down pits in their life or downfalls or highs. They try to do extreme things to balance it out. Like if you're like at the bottom, like it's like I gotta do some 16 hours a day to prove I'm dedicated. It's like, yeah, you put more time into it. You gradually But you don't want to like start getting into editing and video stuff when you're a complete novice, and then you're learning stuff for 16 hours a day, and then you have a job, then you're not getting sleep and this and that. And then after a week and a half, you're like, oh God, this is tedious. I didn't know what I got myself into. The next thing you know, you're struggling for this. You're not even performing well in other things. Sex, not really. Sex is overrated. Not really. That's what people that don't have it tell themselves. So you have it extreme. I believe it was a quote. Don't quote me, but I'm going to quote it. Teddy Roosevelt, was it Teddy or Garfield? One of those presidents with a weird beard and you know, in a wheelchair. They said extreme dedication can equal inconsistent results. Essentially, obviously, it kind of speaks for itself. Extreme ways of thinking, extreme ways of going about things, because you can get immediate results, but over time, you can't mentally or physically keep up with whatever you're trying to do, or you get tired of it, and it'll prove if your love for it is really still there. But as I was saying about, it's really frustrating to watch. Me and him were talking, and it was very, very frustrating to watch. It's very. Oh my God, Clint, can you get it out already? Oh man, here I come. So it's very frustrating us watching other people that are like our peers. People that try to spread a message, but it's not really the right message. Like it's like people want like I think we just need to stop like thinking that everyone has to go about life we want to, and you got to be very careful with how you display what you're presenting about your message you're trying to send. And the main thing we're talking about is because he was getting a bunch, he kept seeing on Snapchat story and stuff. I typically stay off a lot of that stuff for the most part, unless I'm, posting something and then I get off of it. When you see a lot of people promoting how great it is and how if you are with someone, you must be unhappy. And if you are not single, you're doing it wrong. And what it does is it seems harmless, right? It's promoting that it's okay to be single, which it is. It really is okay to be single. It's also okay to not be single. And when you have single girls and single dudes all advertising to everyone and everything about how if you were with someone, there's no way you can be happy, essentially. It's single life is the best. I'll be single, never settle. It's like, all right, never settle. Reality is 99% of people that marry someone, they aren't the first person on the roster they would ever want to marry. If they could redo it all and they had a roster of people they've been pounded by or pounded to, chances are the person you marry is probably not the number one in your perfect world, but there's things you like and accept about it. You get to a point in your life, but it's this thing like it's okay to be single, but it's also okay to be happy with someone. And just because you're single, just because you've had lack of success in these areas, your last ex fucked you over some shit, and so you're gonna take that out in the world. It's like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Ooh, Clint's getting in his bag. It's like spreading. The irony is spreading positivity about spreading the message that being with someone is the worst thing in the world. It limits your potential. It's like only you can find your true self when you're single. It's like actually you can find yourself with someone if you're quote unquote with the right person. It's not a crazy concept. It's actually pretty normal. It's actually pretty healthy. You don't have to have everything figured out when you get married. It's preferred, but you don't have to know every little thing about yourself. You should know enough about yourself. This whole thing that you have to be X, Y, and Z to be the perfect match. Not really. You just have to have the right qualities, and you got to be able to have the qualities that whatever you are not great in, you can show over time. Except if you can't fix shit. If you can't fix shit as a dude, yeah, no girl deserves to fuck you. They really don't. You know? Can't mount in TV, go fuck yourself. Don't sit here demanding a woman serve you and bow down to your every need when you can't even tie your own fucking shoes. And yes, there are dudes that can't tie their own fucking shoe or their kids because they don't see them. Why? Child support. Court systems. It is weird to me how, because I saw this post earlier where this nice lady made like this weird, it's kind of weird to make a brag video about how your baby daddy's not in the picture, but whatever. Holding your kid, bragging about Maya has never this person hasn't seen their daughter in the first 6 months since they've been born. It's like, it's one that's not really something to brag about with a smile on your face. And two, it was a hell of, she never said it was because he didn't want to be in the picture. She basically bragged about that. She knows she has this dude by the balls. It's this weird thing that, why do I have to go through the court system to see my own fucking kid? Doesn't, there's some, the court systems aren't made to when you have a kid to right away have split custody, this and that. The court system is made when things don't work out and to protect the kid. People should be able to communicate with each other when you have a kid together, whether you live with them or not. You should be able to form a communication to raise a kid and to be able to be grown adults enough to not have to go to court, to make time for your kid and set time up for each of you to be around your kid, whatever you guys can work out. The court system is supposed to be there when you guys can't figure that out. The sad part is a lot of people have kids and they start off right off the bat with this bullshit. And it just doesn't make sense to bring the court system into to bring the court system into what the child and mom need and the dad, when you could all just work together and actually do what's quote unquote best, if that's truly with the intention of it. Because it seems like it's not even about intention. It seems it's not even about the intention of doing what's best for the child. It seems more like it's an intent. It's not for the intention what's best for the child, but it's for the simple fact of, it's almost like the baby mama wants the attention. What the fuck am I trying to say? God damn it, Clint. The girl, she wants the attention to be placed on the fact that he's not in the picture, when in reality, he probably just could be in the picture if you just let him be in the picture. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I want to know what turns you on. I like to know what makes you cry. I wanna know what makes you want. And you know that I'll be here the way to know. And tell me what I'm gonna do to please you. Tell me every little thing I'll do. She called me Germa because I'm a shepherd to her pie. What do you call a bird What do you call a bird that meditated? A hummingbird. Why does Justin Timberlake never do dishes at home? Because he doesn't like being reminded of anything in his past, especially in sync. What do you call it when someone's dream is to make a movie? DreamWorks. This stream sucks. I suck. I really need to get better at this shit. This one's not going to be posted. But thanks to the one person, I don't even know if it's really a person or if it's just the YouTube stream just doing me a favor, making me feel like I got a fan base. It'll get there one day. My goal is to one day have, in the next like couple months, have 100 people watching my live stream. But until then, suck some titties and go follow because this is about to end. Yeah, buddy, can I get your number on your birthday? I don't even know you, but I know that you can stay. All right.